Christmas returns us to a place set apart, full of hope and memory, family and loved ones, mystery and wonder. Let us honor this sacred time tonight, when this promise of a better world is made real in a humble child. For this, we opened our hearts and give thanks. Let us begin with our Christmas invocation from words of Anne Foster.
All praise, all love, all honor to thee, newborn son. Nestling within your mother's arms 2,000 years ago, your radiant name lights up our winter dark into a blazing festival of light.
To Jesus, man and myth, we dedicate this hour and reverently relight the flame of Christmas. Christmas, which is enduring, and we who pass away are one this night.
There is a kind of immortality in this. All Christmases that went before and all that are to come are joined tonight by this 1 hour. There's a kind of immortality in this, to be alive tonight, to share here the immortal feast of Christmas, to watch once more the candles glow, to hear retold the ancient tale, to hear and sing the ageless Christmas songs.
Rejoice that we are here together once more. Rejoice that we worship love and life made one. Rejoice that one soul can be a bright, clear star for centuries. Rejoice in love's name, rejoice.
We begin worship this evening by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Please join me in the chalice lighting words, which can be found in your chat. Feel free also to grab your own chalice if you have one you'd like to light. The candle, the evergreen, the infant child, these are the symbols of the season. For we affirm that a flame banishes the dreariest darkness, and the tree of life endures the harshest time, and the spirit of love is renewed with the birth of every child. So it is light and life and love we see in the Christmas flame, and in the Christmas tree, and in the Christmas child, and it is light and life and love we celebrate here. With these words, we light our chalice.
Thank you, Ember, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to our service on this Merry Christmas Eve. It's great to be joining you this evening. My name is Sean Mays, and I'm the Director of Music here at Fourth U. And first off, hoping that this reaches you safe from wherever you are. As Reverend Schuyler said at the start of our service, we usually anticipate this to be a very, very different event, and we were very happy for this year to be our year back. For those of you who've been to the service before, you know that we like to have it as a huge music occasion, and we are still going to do that. We're just going to do it in a slightly different form. And for those of you who were with us last year, you also remember that we spent some time recording some videos as well, and in preparation for our digital service last year. And so as much as we said, oh, geez, it's 1 year of being able to use these videos, and then next year we'll be back in person in a slightly ironic form, we're very glad to be able to share this artistry. And I think this beauty in sort of looking at another year round, considering our cycles, and reminding ourselves to always, first and foremost, keep safe. So with that, I'd love to share our first carol of the evening, which is O Come All Ye Faithful. I'd like to invite you to sing along. You'll find the lyrics posted in your chat, and you'll see myself along with a number of our frequent guest musicians performing this in the video, and you'll hear the singing as well. You won't see any words in the actual video itself. So if you'd like to sing along, please do so with the lyrics that are posted in your chat. This is O Come All Ye Faithful, and I invite you to gather around and sing just as we would in person if we were in person currently.
Joyful and triumphant, O come. Our first reading is entitled The Christmas Story by Langston Hughes. Tell again the Christmas story. Christ is born in all his glory. Baby laid in manger dark, lighting ages with the spark of innocence that is the child, trusting all within his smile. Tell again the Christmas story with the halo of his glory, halo born of humbleness, by the breath of cattle bless, by the poverty of a stall, by where a bed of hay is all. Closed at the inn, only men of means get in. By a door closed to the poor, Christ is born on earthen floor. In a stable with no lock, yet kingdoms tremble at the shock of a king in swaddling clothes, at an address no one knows, because there is no painted sign, nothing but a star divine, nothing but a halo bright about his young head in the night, nothing but the wondrous light of innocence that is the child, trusting all within his smile. Mary, son of golden star, wise men journey from afar. Mary's son in manger born, music of the angel's horn. Mary's son in straw and glory, wonder of the Christmas story.
Our second reading is entitled Every Night a Child is Born by Sophia Lyon Foss. For so the child come, and so they have been coming. Always in the same way they come, born of the seed of loving parents. No angels herald their beginnings, no prophets predict their future courses. No wise men see a star to show where to find the babe that will save humankind. Yet each night a child is born is a holy night. Fathers and mothers, sitting beside their children's cribs, feel glory in the sight of a new life beginning. They ask, where and how will this new life end? Or will it ever end? Each night a child is born is a holy night. A time for singing, a time for wonder, a time for worshiping.
I'd like to invite you now to join with us in singing a responsive litany that we normally do in our service. This is, we're going to join together in singing the sung response that you will see soon posted in the chat as well, as our worship associates read the words in between as well. And we're going to sing this together with the first part of the verse of O come, Emmanuel. And the final time we will complete the full verse together. And I hope you'll join with me in singing in the responses. O come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell.
O come, Emmanuel, God within us and God within us. The centuries have come and gone, generations have passed, and still prophecy is not fulfilled. When shall it be that the wilderness shall blossom as the rose, and the rough places be made plain, and a glorious light shall shine upon us? When shall the time come? The time that was promised, when swords shall be turned into plowshares, and spears into pruning hooks. When shall the strife be ended, and the reign of love appear? O God, renew our hope. Make quiet our fears. Come and renew our spirits.
O come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell.
Come in a whirlwind, awaken awareness. Come in a still breeze, speak to our hearts. Come, lift the clouds and lighten our darkness. Come, gentle presence. Come as a friend.
Oh, come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell.
Come, perfect peace, long, long promised. Come heal our brokenness, bind up our wounds. Lead us safely through our wilderness wanderings. Come shade, come shelter, stretch out your hand.
Oh, come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell.
Come, bread of life, the whole world hungers. Come, living water, how long must we thirst? Come, liberator, lead us from bondage. Come, justice, restore the lost rights of the poor.
Oh, come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell.
Come, banish our sadness, set our hearts dancing. Come quickly, you are our strength and our song. Come, life, come, Easter, come, love in us.
Oh, come, Emmanuel, friend with your captive children dwell. Give comfort to all exiles here, and to the aching heart bid cheer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within and love to dwell.
A reading from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 2, verses 1 to 14. In those days, a decree went out from Emperor Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration and was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged and who was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in bands of cloth, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn. And in that region there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is the Messiah. The Lord, this will be a sign for you. You will find a child held wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of heavenly hosts praising God and saying, Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among those whom he favors.
A reading from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 2, verses 15 to 20. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which Lord has made known to us. So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told to them about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told to them.
Thank you all for our readings so far. It's been so wonderful to hear these readings and these stories from all of you. So thank you. Our next moment in our service is another musical reflection. And this is an instrumental setting of a song that has been set a number of times by different composers, originally based off of a poem. The poem is called Sure on This Shining Night. And the original poem itself actually is not necessarily based in the wintertime. It's written from the perspective of somebody looking back on a summer night, thinking back in fondness of their life. But I think there's interesting parallels to how it reflects upon a night of wonder, a night of mystery. And I think the lyrics speak to that very, very well. And we won't hear the lyrics in this instrumental setting, but I'd like to share them with you in setting us up for listening. And the poem reads, Sure on this shining night of star-made shadows round, kindness must watch for me this side the ground. The late year lies down the north. All is healed, all is health. High summer holds the earth, hearts all whole. Sure on this shining night, I weep for wonder, wandering far alone of shadows on the stars. I hope this instrumental arrangement reaches you in whatever capacity it needs to this evening.
I've been thinking a lot about babies recently. As many of you know, in March, my wife and I had our first baby. He was born in the early morning when the sun was just rising above the city. When we first arrived at the hospital the evening before, tired but excited, there was part of me that hoped for a nighttime birth. Every night a child is born is a holy night, they said. I hoped it would be true for Rowan too. By the time he decided to enter the world, the holy night of labor had breached into the dawning morning of birth. The guiding stars were gone by then. The chorus of angels gathered around us were nurses and doctors, shepherding in his new life. Rowan did not take to life immediately. Breathing was not intuitive, and so he gasped, but did not cry. His oxygen levels were too low, and so he was whisked from our arms to a machine across the room. Later, when he settled, we held him. He was a sleepy child, dreamy quite literally, needing to be woke to eat. I've been thinking a lot about babies recently. Christmas is all about babies. One baby in particular, of course, but having my own now, it's hard to look at the holiday the same way again. It has made me plagued by wonderings and questions. Did Mary have an easy labor, guided by her angelic hosts? Or did the angels, strangers to mortal life, stand by awkwardly, unsure of what to do? Had her mother or grandmother taught her how to breathe into childbirth, how to push? Had they warned her about the pain? Or did Jesus's divinity make it all effortless? What did she feel when she first looked into his eyes? I wondered about Joseph, too. I wondered if he still doubted the story Mary had told him, that this was a baby from God. I wondered if he was afraid for his relationship. I wondered if he reached for Jesus as he emerged, if he hesitated at the sight of the blood and the mess, if his hands trembled as he cut the umbilical cord. Most of all, I wondered about the baby himself. Did Jesus come early, eager to begin life? And was that the reason his family was still on the road to Bethlehem? Did he cry with his first breath? If he did, perhaps his divine nature was unaccustomed to a body full of want and cold and hunger and gas. When he was hungry, did he know exactly how to latch? Or did Mary get frustrated, as so many mothers do, as he bobbed up and down, mouth open but not sucking, his divine omnipotence not extending to the humble skill of breastfeeding? I wondered that as they waited through the many nights for the shepherds, the wise men, the kings, depending on what story you tell, waited for them to come, following the yonder star, whether they found Jesus to be a good sleeper. Did he wake his parents up every hour to cry? Did he wake up not eating, refusing to eat, even though he was clearly hungry? Or did his miracles extend to sleeping through the night, from the very first night? Did the clothes they swaddled Jesus in make him feel safe and loved? Did he drool a lot over everyone he met, just like Rowan does? It is easy to not wonder about these questions. Even for those of us with children, they seem too ordinary for a night welcoming the Messiah of all humankind. Too messy for a baby born of God and heralded by divine hosts. The questions of whether Jesus was a good sleeper or was colicky or had tons of gas matter, though, precisely because they so often are taught that they shouldn't. Divinity, we are told, transcends such mundanity. Holiness is not concerned with diapers or inconvenient and strangely colored fluids. The great stories of history usually don't concern barely conscious, helpless infants. God does not dwell in the vulgarities of human bodies and their concerns. These teachings go almost all the way back as far as Jesus to St. Augustine, who first framed the body and spirit as fundamentally opposed to one another. Spiritual communion with God came from rejecting the body, not embracing it. This is remarkable given how the central story of Christianity is literally about God taking on a human body. On Christmas, this holiest of nights, rather than spurn the profanity of mortal life, God embraces it. In doing so, God blesses life itself with holiness, sanctifying it as worthy even for God himself. Crying and burping and sleeping are enveloped into the realm of God. The art of swaddling becomes a ritual act of love. So too, the nightly vigil kept by the Holy Family and many families across history over a tired and yet restless newborn. That Jesus was a baby and holy assures us that our lives in all their mundanity and coarseness and messiness are too deeply important to God. That sacredness is within, around, and essential to us, our very being, and all that is human. Nothing becomes beyond divine reach. Everything is blessed. When I think about Rowan, I think of all his crying in the middle of the night and his inexplicable levels of drooling and his refusal to eat even when he clearly needs to. And how another little baby 2,000 years ago probably did all those things too. I think of how Rowan clings to me when he is held, how he laughs when I lift him up and down above my head, and how peacefully he sleeps in his mother's arms. And I think about how baby Jesus must have clung and laughed and slept just like him. Through Jesus's babiness, we see the holiness in our own children. But of course, not just them. We see it in ourselves and each other too, and every baby in this world. The brilliance of the Christmas story is to understand that our love for the Christ child is meant to lead us to a greater love for all people. Baby Jesus's sacred humanity teaches us that all humanity is sacred. Once we start seeing the Christ child in everyone, it is hard to stop. We imagine him born to a worried family that doesn't have health insurance and worries that without medical care, they might die. We imagine him born in the poorest neighborhood in this city and any city, where most would not want to walk at night, let alone give birth. We imagine them born in far-off lands, their parents staring into their beautiful eyes for the first time, right as an airstrike is authorized above their heads. We imagine these babies born in prisons, their mother's legs not just in harnesses, but also in shackles, and in detention centers to be taken away and separated, and in deserts crossing borders, with parents dreaming of better lives. To truly see the Christ child is to see the Christ child in every child. It requires us to question all our assumptions, our politics, our willingness to change ourselves and our society, our treatment of all those we do not know, who we forget and do not understand. Through Jesus's holy birth, we can start building a world that treats every child and every adult like we would treat the Christ child himself. We do this with confidence because on Christmas, we know what it feels like to honor an infant, a child that cries and burps and nurses and clutches his dad's fingers and stares into his mother's eyes, just like all the babies born throughout history and today. That babies are looking for comfort and understanding, babies that smile when they know love. And we will realize that that baby born 2,000 years ago in holy Bethlehem wasn't so different from all those babies born before or since. That baby was holy, but so too are all the others and all the people they grow to become. That's you, that's me, that's Rowan, that's everyone. So this Christmas, may we make the world reflect this Christmas truth. Every night a child is born is a holy night. Every baby born is a holy baby. May it be so, and amen.
On the eve of Jesus' birth, Mary and Joseph searched for a place to stay. They knocked on many doors and found that there was no room in the inn. And yet, over 2,000 years later, we know that all over the world, and even here in Manhattan's Upper West Side, there are many still looking for a warm place to rest. That's why this Christmas Eve, we ask that you consider joining us to support a phenomenal organization dedicated to doing just that. The Interfaith Assembly for Homelessness and Housing, based right here in our neighborhood. Half of our offering this night will go to support their important work, dedicated to helping those threatened by homelessness and sprung from the desire for all people to be treated with respect and dignity. By advocating for housing and care for families in need, the Interfaith Assembly for Homelessness and Housing embodies the true spirit of Christmas. If this holiday is all about seeing the holy in everyone and taking care of each other, we hope you'll give what you can. Your gift can help make sure that there is always room in the inn. Every dollar, every cent you can give makes a difference. Peace on earth and goodwill towards all begins here. May the Christmas spirit live through each of us. Thank you for your generosity this holy night. Because we're online, we invite you to give through your phone or on our website. And we'll post this in the chat as well. To give by phone, simply text Fourth U, fourth spelled out, U, the letter U, to 73256. Click on the link you receive and reply. If you haven't given over text before, you'll be prompted to give your payment information. If you have, just click to give. To give at our website, just go to fourthu.org/giving and click the link to the Sunday offering.
Thank you, Deb. And thank you, Reverend Schuyler, for those words this evening. Very, very touching, and how purposeful as well as we celebrate your family growing this year. Thank you for that. Our musical offering this evening is a arrangement of the buoyant tune "Wonderful Christmas Time," and I hope that you will enjoy it as we prepare our offering for this evening.
Thank you so much, Sean, for that wonderful music. I'm so glad you did the recordings for us. Hi, folks. My name is Soyal Smalls. I'm the Director of Membership and Hospitality here at Fourth U. And Deb Roth and I will be doing a responsive prayer this evening. As we honor the gifts we have given and the work that Christmas still calls us to do, let us join in prayer together.
We have a promise to keep, which we made long ago in the silvery light of a star at the manger of a child. Earth has resounded with the harsh cries of hate, and our hand has been raised against our neighbors.
We have a promise to keep, for that song of peace and goodwill from the midnight skies is faint and far away. We still seek our neighbor across the frowning walls of fear, for deep in our heart is the hunger for peace.
Once again, across the long years, sounds that sweet old song. From out our haunted sleep, we awake to listen and bow down. How long, O messenger of peace, shall we keep you waiting outside the closed doors, where people trade their souls for power and gold?
Your dream, O messenger of peace, shines in our hearts today. The light from your star dreams into our souls, and hope is born anew. Day by day, the light shall grow, and year by year, the shadows shall fade.
Voices of peace and goodwill, long stilled by bitter cries of hate, sound again. That midnight song of long ago shall fall upon the earth like the gentle mantle of snow.
Friends, we end this holy evening with words from the great minister and scholar, Howard Thurman. The songs of the angels are stilled when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flocks. The work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoners, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among the siblings, and to make music in the heart. As we leave our time together, may we remember the rising of a star, the birth of a humble baby, the love of a family. These are the lights of our world. We join together now in sharing that light and raising our voices in song. Normally, we end our service by singing the beloved carol, Silent Night. We'd pass candlelight down the rows, we'd beg you not to spill wax on the chairs, and we invite you to join in a circle surrounding the room. Once there, we would sing. This year, we're going to do something a little different. We invite you to light a candle at home, and then turn the camera of your Zoom on if you're comfortable. Turn your camera on with that lit candle and then put your Zoom into gallery view, which you can do by just going to the upper right hand of your Zoom room and select it. Once you do that, take a moment to scan all the shining, loving faces, seeing all the hope and joy here in this Christmas night. As we sing Silent Night this evening, you will find words in the chat box, and there'll be music played underneath. Come, let us sing together and fill this dark night with light and love. Friends, Merry Christmas. Go in peace and love into this winter evening. Amen and good night.